So every computer or PC or piece of technology needs to run certain services or files that it needs when it starts up. And in Linux or in the Unix world, those are called init systems, initiation systems, startup systems. And what they do is they load certain files in a certain order so that different services run on your machine. For example, different levels would mean why your machine, after it's loaded certain files, will start displaying KDE or will start showing GNOME or whatever interface you've got. And other times, of course, it would just be a text file. In that example, of course, assuming that you have the correct stuff installed. Now, a very popular system, of course, that exists is something called SystemD. And SystemD, as time has gone on, has grown out of just being an init system to doing other functions as well. And quite a couple of folks out there have found that SystemD might be becoming a little bit bigger than it should be and taking on more functions, etc. So there are folks out there that prefer using a SystemD-free environment. And today we're going to look at the top 5 SystemD-free distributions. So these systems do not use SystemD at all when it comes to running the different services on your machine. Starting at number 5, of course, is good old Slackware, the oldest surviving Linux distribution from 1992. And this distribution uses a BSD-style init system, and it hasn't moved away from that. For all the years that it's existed, it's kept its init system the same. And of course, Slackware focused on simplicity and more than anything, stability, and basically why change what is broken. Generally, they seem to be released about a month or so after Debian has its big releases. And yeah, a option to use if you like the Debian ecosystem, but you don't want to use SystemD. This is definitely something to use. Perhaps you like Arch Linux. Perhaps you like telling people you're an Arch user, but you don't want to use SystemD. Well, that's where Artix Linux come in. Artix Linux also gives you different init systems to use, but it's essentially Arch Linux without SystemD. And in this case, you can even use the AUR with Artix Linux, although it should be noticed some applications that might depend on SystemD might not work. So always be a little bit wary of that. But yeah, Artix Linux, as Arch, it's still rolling released, and also a very popular SystemD free distribution. So really, really cool, this one as well. Number 2 is Alpine Linux. So Alpine Linux is really was designed to be small, simple, and secure, and quite often used as stock images or dedicated hosts. Very minimal set of utilities. Does not make use of SystemD. So I believe really, really great, powerful type of system, and doesn't make use of the normal core utilities either. So Alpine Linux is really a Linux distribution. There is very little to no GNU/Linux when it comes to this distro. Not as popular as used as a desktop distribution, although it can be tweaked and configured that way. But it is definitely something to look out for, especially on your Dockers or images type of systems. Number 1, of course, has to be the independent Linux distribution, Void Linux. Void Linux been around for a couple of years, has a very BSD type of a feel to it. It can be a little bit complicated to get up and running, especially with the type of installation system that they use, but it uses also the run-it init system, no SystemD, and is well supported, has a couple of diehard fans in the community, and I must tell you, Void Linux is extremely fast, and not only is it great on modern hardware, but great on older machines as well. and it also makes a great workstation OS if you put in the time. Folks, it would be great to hear your comments, what you use, what you agree with, don't agree with, and as always, thank you for watching.